They say that patience is a virtue. And if that's true, then I may be one of the world's greatest, well, I don't want to say sinners, but let's just say that patience typically isn't my long suit. This morning, we're going to delve into it. Hi, I'm Aaric Eisenstein, the Avian Rebbe, and I teach Jewish wisdom seen in the beauty of birds. This morning, I'm going to take you to a lake near my house, and we're going to look at a particular bird, just the one. It's a little bit different than our usual walks. And this is a video that I took over quite some time after watching a bird patiently for quite some time. About 20 minutes I watched this great blue heron struggle with a fish. And it's a little different than we usually see. It was a massive fish. I mean, massive fish. And the video is all in slow motion. You're going to be able to see everything. And it's going to cause us to call into question some of the things that we understand about our own sense of the passage of time. Ready? Great. Let's head out to the lake. Take a look at this great blue heron trying to eat a fish. I'm not exactly positive, but I'm told that it may be a grass carp. In any event, the bird itself is about 5-ish feet high, and the fish probably weighs at least 6 or 7 pounds, which may be as much as the bird. That's right. This bird is trying to eat a fish almost as big and certainly as heavy as it is itself. It's a battle. And I watched this battle for quite some time. I was walking back to my car. It was almost the end of my morning and I was ready to get home. It had been kind of a slow morning at the lake. I hadn't seen a whole lot. I was maybe a little bit frustrated, maybe even a little bit disappointed. Some days are like that. And out of the corner of my eye, as I headed back to the car, I saw something. I wasn't quite sure what, but it was big. It was a ways off, but it was big. And so I walked down towards the edge of the lake and watched this battle. There was something about this battle between the bird and its breakfast that really just made me think, you know, this is the kind of thing I want to see slow, slow, slow. I want to understand every nuance and detail of what's going on here because this is way outside the range of what I ordinarily encounter. It was an epic battle. And sometimes that question of alignment and that question of time is at the root of what we perceive as impatience. Are you blown away by this battle? I imagine so. Crazy enough, over 534,000 people have viewed just the footage of this battle between the bird and the fish on YouTube. It went viral, it's been all over the world, it's crazy. If you like these videos where I start yakking on top of the thing, then hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. And if you really like, make sure to stay until the end when I'll have 2 action suggestions about how we deal with this question of impatience. It's worth it. Stick around. And the battle continues. We all know the story from the Bible of how the world was created in 6 days, and on the 7th day, God rested. Great. And if you look at it in the most literal sense, you can understand why people get into these raging debates about creation versus evolution and whether there's really something to this story. Because 6 days, in the way that we define a day of 24-ish hours, probably isn't the right way to think about this. Maybe there's a lesson in that. Maybe what we're being taught is to acknowledge that some days, psychologically, seem longer than others. Not just in a biblical narrative sense, but in our own perceived existence even today. So for example, ask any child, how long is it until your birthday? And if it's more than a day or 2, it's forever. And if it's a day, is it a day as we would experience it? Or is that the longest day ever? Flip side, ask an elderly person when something happened in their life, and they may say it was 20 years ago, and it seems like it was yesterday. Obviously, our sense of time changes. It changes throughout our lives, it changes day to day, even hour to hour. This has been explored in 100 different ways. We needn't get into it. But what I want to do is try and understand this question of impatience. Because sadly, for myself at least, my misalignment between my expectation and my experience of time oftentimes runs afoul of other things that are happening out in the world. There are all kinds of things that we have to consider in this sense of alignment and this question of perceived time. So what's the antidote? Well, the antidote to impatience is faith. What I want to get at is the notion of resolution. The idea that things will resolve when they are ready to resolve. And we simply need to be able to maintain faith that things will resolve when it's time, when they are ripe, when the moment is full. My inability to align my expectations with the reality around me and others' expectations and natural sense of timeline is a very tough thing. Guilty as charged. I didn't have the virtue of patience. So what do we do? Well, there are things that we can do. Action suggestion number 1. Align your expectations with a calibration from a friend. Here's something that I'm very fortunate about. I have people in my life, I'm thinking of 2 in particular, who have taught me over and over that my expectation perhaps isn't right. And so what they do is they provide me a little bit of a sanity check. And really what it does is not so much make me feel good about what I think is going slow but they tell me is going fast. Rather what they do is they give me comfort and a little bit of grace to say to myself, hey, it's all right. Action suggestion number 2. Get out your calendar. Block out the times when you think things are going to happen. Look at it visually. It's what I do. And I see that, well, to have this kind of big thing materialize within the time frame that I've expected is wildly unrealistic. And that's okay. Just pull it down a week. It works. Block it out. Make it visual. Put these things into some kind of timeline where you're able to see how they're going to relate to each other. The alternative is that you're going to suffer from continued impatience. In other words, you're going to have this constant sense of anxiety or worry or fretting about why things aren't getting to where they need to be in the time frame that you want them. Lesson learned. Faith is in fact the antidote to impatience. I hope this has been helpful. It certainly is for me. If it has been for you, as I say, please hit like and subscribe down below. And if you'd like to get a third action suggestion, subscribe to my free newsletter. It's called Birdie Goodness. I invite you to join along. Come back next week. There will be another interrupted walk. And in the meantime, be grounded, fly high.